ask this question. Is a blockchain truly decentralized? To what extent can we consider decentralization in blockchain a truly decentralization? Because as far as I know, there is still DNS, and domain name service needs resolution, and resolution needs hosting, in this case name servers. So name servers are basically what allows you to query a domain name to a record, a record's CNAMEs. Those are pointers. For whoever is not aware of what DNS is basically how you can translate an address to a domain address or a fully qualifying domain name to an IP address. So you can reach a particular resource, right? So when you type google.com, that google.com translates to an IP address or a destination on the internet, right? So with that said, to what extent is blockchain truly decentralized? Because at some point I need to point to an RPC address, right? The RPC, if you don't know what an RPC address is, remote procedure call entry on the network that tells me how to write or how to read and access the particular blockchain. So in this case, let's say Ethereum. Ethereum has an RPC address. That RPC address is a DNS address. So in theory, it's still dictated by a central location, right? And I know this will spark a debate for people that are saying, no, but you can point it to an IP address and then you don't use DNS. Yes, but for the John Does that don't understand IT or don't understand networking or DNS, they're not going to be able to do that. They will rely on whatever the wallet it's pointing to, right? So to what extent is decentralization truly decentralized? Because if I need to resolve a name that is pointing to an A record that is hosted on someone's domain name service, right? How do we eliminate the possibility of human error? Someone makes a mistake on their DNS server and incorrectly points a resource, which we know happens all the time in the cloud atmosphere. AWS, Azure, always screwing it up. You always have that issue. And you lose access to resources because someone decided to fat finger a DNS record and all of a sudden everything is down, right? So to what extent is blockchain truly decentralized, right? Are we talking about the fact that the blockchain itself is composed of peers that are not resolvable using a domain name? If that's the case, then yes, it's decentralized, right? But at some extent, blockchain relies on DNS until we get some sort of decentralized name resolution. And there's a technology out there, you might want to Google HNS, that is trying to do that, or at least they have done a lot of good progress on it. Meanwhile, we're still relying on our name servers, right? So that's why I'm still thinking like we are getting into a truly decentralized internet with Web3, right? Because Web3, it's the foundation for decentralized web, relies on decentralized infrastructure, blockchain in this case. Where do we actually say that a blockchain or a mainnet is truly decentralized? It's a great question. I would love to see the comments. What do you think? Do you think that because I still need to resolve DNS in order for me to connect to a blockchain, that not necessarily removes the decentralization? Because still, to access the blockchain, I still need to point an FQDN, in this case the RPC call, and the RPC address, right? So where do I eliminate and become truly decentralized, where no one can actually make a mistake and bring the whole network down? Great example, Solana. What happened to Solana? Denial of service. Why? Because there's resources which are centralized. There's a lot of conspiracy in what actually happened in Solana. Most of the news that you will read are regarding denial of service. Again, they're still hosting SQL databases in private clouds, which at that point that's centralized, right? So that doesn't make it truly centralized. Anyway, it's always a debate on how much of decentralized is a blockchain, or how decentralized a blockchain it actually is. Because if I need to resolve a DNS name, which is critical for the operation of that particular blockchain, in this case the mainnet, DNS is centralized. As far as I know, there's no decentralized DNS. It's all centralized. It's all controlled by global name servers, right? An organization that allows, I would say not allowed, that has the rights to modify those records. So let's say we can say Ethereum, API dot blah blah blah. So we have an API. The API is talking over the Ethereum network, but that API, that name, it's a DNS record. It's an A record, right? So who controls that? So if someone gets access, or the domain name service resolution for the Ethereum blockchain gets compromised, does that mean that the entire blockchain could get, disrupted? Those are the items that I would love to hear the comments. And what do you think? Do you think blockchain is truly decentralized or not? Or do we still have at some point we still have centralization going on? To call it a truly decentralized platform, there's no central management, there's no authority over the infrastructure. Everyone owns a piece of it. Like, everyone contributes on it. Everyone has rights to it, but there's not a central entity that controls or dictates what the blockchain is or how the blockchain will operate. I would love to hear your comments. Let me know. Can you mention to me which blockchain is considered truly decentralized? And we're talking about, like we mentioned, no DNS resolution, or at least no centralized DNS, right? It uses, various connection methods like TCP, WebSockets, and RPC, right? But again, if we're using name service in RPC, that means that it's resolving a DNS name, which is at some point is a centralized service. So let me know your comments. What do you think? Is blockchain truly decentralized, or we are still getting to the point that we can call it truly decentralized? All right.